Calaroga Shark Media.
Are you familiar with the 6 degrees of separation thing? It usually goes back to Kevin Bacon, but basically you can connect anyone to anyone within 6 moves. Now, because I spent a decade at SiriusXM, I could do a lot in 2 moves. For example, I work with Jamie Foxx, who was in a movie with Tom Cruise, so I can get to Tom Cruise in 2. I can get to Obama in 2. My point is, one of you, there's enough people listening to the show, somebody out there has a connection to a publicist at Hulu. For the love of comedy, Hulu publicists, get back to me. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I am fired up. Let me tell you about SketchFest. You know how I know SketchFest exists? Because the Publicist sent me the press release. And now it's the lead story in a podcast targeted at comedy fans is about a comedy festival. Hulu Publicist, what are you doing? Get back to me. All right, shut up, John. What's going on? SketchFest. SketchFest, it's awesome. I've been there. This year runs from January 16th to February 2nd. Bill Murray will appear with his Blood Brothers band. Tim Curry will be celebrated in person. Tributes to Catherine Hahn, J.B. Smoove, and Richard Kind. A live read of Airplane's 45th anniversary. It's the Groundlings' 50th anniversary. Some of the kids in the hall will be there. Some of the state will be there. All right, let's dive in on this press release. And thank you, Publicist. SketchFest, January 16th to February 2nd. Over 180 shows. Its 22nd year. Tickets are on sale now. The 45th anniversary of the film Airplane will be celebrated. A special live read of a screenplay featuring co-creator David Zucker, original star Robert Hayes, and surprise guests. Meanwhile, the cast of Children's Hospital and Futurama will reunite. And the 50th anniversary of The Groundlings will be celebrated with an all-star show. Sketch comedy favorites The State will present a live read of their unproduced musical, A Holiday Hubbub at Porcupine Corners. 3 members of the Kids in the Hall will be there. They are Bruce McCullough, Kevin McDonald, and Scott Thompson. They will team up with the Red Room Orchestra for a night of songs and sketches from the Kids in the Hall. Connor Ratliff will be there with the George Lucas Talk Show, a fake acting class, and a parody reading of the Star Wars holiday special, this one called the Kashyyyk Life Day Carol. Some podcasters are going, including Joel Kim Booster, Moshe Kasher, Natasha Leggero, and Doug Benson. A whole bunch of improv, including Shamilton, the improvised hip-hop musical. The UCB's AssCat show will be there. And Off Book, the improvised musical, which is a fantastic podcast. Check that out. Oh, speaking of podcasts, what's his face? Joe Rogan. Yeah, him. He's pretty famous. I've been listening to the Tim Dillon episode during my 3 a.m. insomnia, so I'm picking away that a little bit of time, but that's pretty good. Check that out. Other things, stand-up comedy includes Maria Bamford, Chris Fleming, Joel Kim Booster, Dulce Sloan, Reese Darby, Robbie Hoffman, Punky Johnson, Aparna Nancherla, the Sklar Brothers, Nor Davis, Josh Goleman, Allison Levy, Kate Willett, Hampton Yount, Nori Reed, and a show called Comedians Named Todd featuring Todd Barry and Todd Glass. Love it. Sketchfest, check it out. Publicist, thank you. This next story could be about Hulu comedy, but you didn't send me anything, so you got nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. John Mulaney joked he knew even as a child that one day he'd be recognized by GQ as one of the men of the year. Mulaney said, "Little boy John was one of the most grandiose, delusional people you've ever met. That was probably number 10 on the list. But it's a very fun surprise, and it's been a really cool experience. I'm tempted to sound jaded about it, but it's all been lovely." Olivia Munn said her mother was thrilled when Mulaney told them the news. John said, "Although I think Olivia's mom may have misunderstood and thought I was the sexiest man alive." Speaking of which, Gutfeld told a joke. The topic, John Krasinski being the sexiest man alive. You're not going to believe this clip. I'm going to play it. I'm going to let it run. And just imagine the whole time I'm making Jim Halpert face. Here is hilarious comedian Greg Gutfeld discussing John Krasinski being the sexiest man alive. Let's listen.
I think it's great that People has nominated or announced that a trans male can be the sexiest one alive. Krasinski never talks about it, but he's trans. You know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, he's trans.
Yeah.
He's trans. But I do have a problem with the title sexiest man alive. It seems redundant. I'm assuming alive is a given. No one is thinking about dead dudes unless you're some kind of pervert like Larry Kudlow. Oh! I'll stop there.
Like, what is that? Like that's not even funny. It's like so far from funny. It's horrific. Like, what is that? Ha ha ha. John Krasinski is trans and he didn't. Like, what? Dude, stop. Gary Goleman will make his Off-Broadway debut with the world premiere of his new show, Grandiloquent. I think there's a joke in there that I'm not getting. I'm not ripping Gary. Gary's awesome. I've worked with Gary in the past. Great guy. It is spelled Grandiloquent. Grandiloquent. What am I not getting? Tell me in the Facebook group. The show will run January 7th through February 8th. Official opening January 19th. Ricky Gervais tweets, I'm not leaving here, meaning Twitter. By the way, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads now, but I'll always be a Twitter guy and never calling it X. Cheers. Ray Romano is teaming up with Lisa Kudrow for a Netflix series called No Good Deed. It's a mystery comedy that promises to keep viewers on their toes. Yes. Produced by Will Ferrell's company, No Good Deed's lineup includes Dennis Leary, Abby Jacobson, Poppy Lou, Matt Rogers, Rory Scovel, and Linda Lavin. That's Alice. Isn't that Alice? How old is Linda Lavin? Linda Lavin, 87 years old. That's awesome. In No Good Deed, Lydia, played by Lisa Kudrow, and Paul, played by Ray Romano, are a couple looking to start fresh after their children have left the nest. How old's Ray Romano? I'm 55. My kids have left the nest. He's playing down here. How old is Ray Romano? 66. You've been an empty nester for 10 years, dude. Stop lying. Lydia and Paul are a couple looking to start fresh after their children have left the nest 10 years ago. Deciding to sell their 1920s Spanish-style villa in one of LA's most coveted neighborhoods, they find themselves at the center of a real estate frenzy. Multiple prospective buyers, all with their own personal issues, vie for the house, each convinced that it will solve their problems. However, as the couple knows all too well, the home that promises to be a dream for some is hiding a dark past. Lydia and Paul must contend with the house's long-held secrets. As they navigate the pressure of selling their home, they come to realize that facing their past may be the only way to escape the looming danger of the present. No Good Deed coming to Netflix eventually. Theo Vaughn on his podcast told the story about J.D. Vance's security detail. Theo said, J.D. Vance showed up. Dude, there were snipers on the roof, full tactical gear. I go into an ice bath. There's like Secret Service everywhere. They had put up drapes, black drapes in front of the house, right? They shut down the exits on the interstate. I had no idea. Matthew Broussard has announced that his upcoming special Hyperbolic is coming out December 13th. You know how I know about it? Because Matthew Broussard's Publicist sent it to me, and I'm talking about it on a comedy podcast targeting fans of stand-up comedy. Hulu, are you paying attention? Listeners, one of you knows somebody at Hulu or Disney or somebody. Can somebody please yell at someone and go, dude, can you return an email? Can you get back to the guy on LinkedIn? Hyperbolic marks a full-length debut special from Matthew Broussard. I saw him, it's probably 10, 12 years ago at the Montreal Comedy Festival. He was a new face. He was great. In this sharply honed set, Matthew dives into painfully personal experiences growing up Cajun Jewish in a waspy Southern prep school, the challenges of millennial masculinity as the bread loser to a former pro athlete, and candid stories about mental health struggles in his family. Plus, some oddly keen sidebars into grammar, etymology, pharmaceutical, origin stories, and statistics. Matthew began his stand-up career 13 years ago, aiming to leave his finance job behind. 5 years in, he released a half-hour special on Comedy Central. Hyperbolic, wherever comedy is streamed or sold on December 13th. TJ Miller says he's open to returning to Deadpool movies. Yeah, you think? You know what? I'm also willing to be in Deadpool movies, TJ. TJ had publicly stated that he would never work with Ryan Reynolds again, and then TJ's career kind of cooled off. TJ was on the radio and said, we talked a little while ago. I think Ryan asking me, I think it's just been such a good friend right now that I think it would be awesome. TJ Miller played Weasel in Deadpool and Deadpool 2. He did not appear in Deadpool and Wolverine. Back in 2022, TJ Miller had told Adam Carolla he wouldn't have done Deadpool 3 if they came to me and were like, we want you to do Deadpool 3 and we're going to pay you twice as much. A few days later, he was on a different radio show and said, it was a misunderstanding. I emailed him back. It's fine. Curious. I feel like an agent may have meddled there. And that is your comedy news for today. Hey, if you're like a streaming service and you're, making a big push into stand-up comedy and you want to get in touch, my email address is in the show notes and my email address is in your inbox. I am jerky lately. I know. I'm aware of it. Scott Beck is going to send me a note and be like, dude, what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on, Scott. I am still mad about Taylor Swift icing Jo Koy. Do you remember poor Jo Koy? He told this joke.
The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
I'm fine. I just want Hulu to get back to me. That's all. See you tomorrow.